We've seen level 4 before, so it's not a big deal. Oh, level 5. I guess we're moving into the zone of discomfort. I hope this isn't going to be it. 22? Yes, we got it. Okay. Hello, Wheelmasters, and welcome back to Mastering the Wheel. Today, we're on day 23 of our bankroll building challenge and moving forward with some serious momentum. We've got 22 consecutive wins behind us, and of course, hoping today will be 23. So let's see what happens. Now, before we do get into the video, I do have to say that I don't encourage, endorse, or promote gambling, and if you do decide to gamble, do gamble at your own risk. There are inherent risks involved with playing roulette or any other casino game, and only gamble with money you can afford to lose. So now that I've said that, guys, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button and the like button, it does help out the channel a great deal, and I do very much appreciate it, so thank you so much. Now let's get right into it. So today we're going to be playing some roulette, and I'm going to be using my favorite system, Hottest 18. As you guys know, I've been extremely successful with this system and yielding very good results. It's how we got to this point in the bankroll building system, and it's what I'm going to keep on using for now to move forward. And I wanted to show you guys something a little bit different today, just before we get started, because I get comments sometimes on in the YouTube comment section about why don't I try this type of betting system or that type of betting system? Like the same system that I'm using, Hottest 18, but changing how I place the bets. And one of the newer ones that I got was recently one that asked me to try it using step-up betting. If you don't know what that is, it's where rather than doing what I'm doing right now, a martingale, I would increase the bet by 1 on every loss and then decrease it on every win, and going back a level. So, mathematically, I already know how that works out, and to be honest, it doesn't work out very well. But before we get started, guys, I want to prove it to you, because I use tools that help me analyze the risk of strategies, and I have a massive data bank of live spins from wheels that I've collected. And one of the tools that I use is called a backtester. And what that allows me to do is put the strategy that I want to use, that I build in Betmaster, and then I take live data samples and put that data file inside of the backtester, and then I just backtest it, and it shows me what would have happened over time, how many times the strategy would have won, lost, made money, etc. So I'm going to show you guys that right now. This is just going to take a quick minute, and I want to show you guys a comparison between my strategy, Hottest 18, doing it the way I do it, or compared to doing it with a step up. I'm only going to use one data sample, and it's my biggest data set. I've got 5,160 spins in this file. So I'm going to open that up right now and give you guys a look. So I've got my website. So this tool is located right on my website, and when you are a Betmaster member, you actually have access to this backtester. There are 2 other tools you have access to for free if you just go to www.betmaster-data.com, sign up for a free account, and you can use the risk calculator and the progression calculator absolutely free. So definitely worth checking those out. So do sign up for a free account today. Now, right now, I'm going to open up the backtester. And this is what it looks like here. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab my folders right here. And this is my data sample of 5,000 spins. And first I'm going to load up my Hottest 18 and give you a look at what this strategy looks like over 5,000 spins. And then we're going to compare. So, first I have to change a couple of parameters here. It only looked at... Oh, I see what the problem is. I loaded the wrong one. I'm sorry, guys. I loaded the one with the trigger, and this is showing triggers fired. I didn't want that because we're not using triggers. We're showing the actual failure rate of the system. There we go. I was confused because I know what it should look like. There we go. Okay. So this is what it looks like. This is Hottest 18, and every time you see a dip here, this is every time it failed. Okay. So you can see right here, it failed 23 times, and then you can see like the average hit rate, 48.9%. You would expect that. We're betting on half the wheel, so that's consistent with what we're betting on. we were in the negative. Of course, any progression that you do over a long enough period of time, you're going to lose money. It's inevitable, right? It's a mathematically EV game, negative EV game if you stay at the wheel long enough. So looking at this, you can see, how often it failed. Now, just a quick view as to how I look at this so that you guys understand. I use a system failure trigger, and how I do it is so I wait until the system fails, and then I jump in right here and play until I win. And so looking at this chart here, I can pretty much predict on average when the system is going to fail again after it fails. And I always have enough time to get my 14 wins and get out before I lose again. Within 2,000 spins right here, it failed 2 consecutive times. And then again, 2,000 spins later, it failed again 3 consecutive times. Now, on average, all of my data shows me that on average, you'll see an event like this once every 1,000 spins or so. Between 1 and 2,000 spins, you'll see it fail in close succession. But besides those rare events, after it fails, it rarely fails again within 50 spins, which is more than enough for me to go in, get my wins, and get out. That's been my experience. So now on the next data I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull up the step-up progression, put that in there, and we're going to compare them. Oh, but I have to change. We've only looked at 21 spins because it's stopping at a stop win. We want to change that to a big enough number so that way it will just look at all 5,000 spins. And there we go. So this is what it looks like on the step-up progression. It's extremely volatile, very low. We would have lost $2,900 over that one versus I think in the other one it was 700. It failed 104 times. That's more than 4 times of a failure rate than doing it with a martingale. Okay, so this is the kind of information that you can get when you use the proper tools and have, a tool like Betmaster, for example, to build your progression, and then a tool like this backtester to be able to test everything. That way, you don't waste your time on junk progressions, and you can go ahead and you can analyze them right away, see for yourself how they're going to react over time, and then start selecting your systems, from a more data or analytical point, right? Understanding how they react over time. So I just wanted to show you guys that. And now let's go play some roulette. All right. So as you guys know, I'm going to be using my tool, Betmaster, to execute some bets for me today on Hottest 18. So let's get that set up right now. Now, first thing we have to do is pull in some data. So if you're new to the channel, this is the most powerful roulette tool on the internet that allows me to analyze the wheel in ways that, are just humanly impossible. And it gives me data back in real time so that way I can place my bets where the ball is landing. And that's my whole philosophy when I play roulette is, all things being equal, if it really doesn't matter where you place your bets, then you might as well place your bets where the ball is landing. That way, if there is a bias of any kind, at least you're going to capitalize on it, right? So that's my whole philosophy. So in order to do that, I need to use Betmaster to track the heat of the wheel. And I get feedback on every single number, 0 to 36, and I know exactly how active every single number is. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in some history right now. And I just have to take a snapshot of that with my snippet tool. Save that to a folder. And now I'm going to start data collection on my program. And then I'm going to add those results. I'll import that image. And there we go. I got all 88 spins, so I'm going to import them all. And now you can see here, the last number we got was the number 16, but the number 5 has come in the meantime. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that manually. And we've got them all. So we don't need that anymore. Let's put this off to the side. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Advanced Stats tab, and this is the heat map that I'm going to be looking at, but I'm going to change the slider to 74 spins because that's going to be the pool of numbers I'm going to be drawing from. And you'll notice now, before there was just red and blue numbers, now there's also gray numbers. And what that means is any number that's hit on average once every 37 spins, whereas the red ones are any number that's hit more than 1 in 37 spins, and of course the blue ones less than 1 in 37 spins. And I'm willing to bet there's probably 12 red numbers on here right now. We'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was close, 13. So it's slightly overactive. On average, we'll see 12 red numbers on this heat map, and I'm going to explain more in a few minutes on exactly how I use that. But first, I'm going to go ahead and finish setting everything up. I'm going to open up my text stats and just slide this off to the side here and open so I can reveal the 18 numbers. This shows us numbers all the way to 36, but I only need to see the top 18 for now. And I'm going to filter them by hot. And so what you're seeing here, for example, the number 29 has come 6 times over the last 74 spins, which should actually be 2, so it's slightly overactive. And there's lots of activity here. Seeing the 5s and the 4s, it's a pretty hot table. On average, it's come 8.11% of the time. The max drought, the longest the 29 has gone without being hit, is 22 spins. It was last hit, well, it was just hit. And 0 spins ago. Well, the last spin before the one that just came up. And then on average, it's been hitting 1 every 12 spins. Okay, so we get this kind of information for every single wheel sector, with splits, streets, double streets, corners. I'm just looking at individual numbers right now, but this information is available for all wheel sectors. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is set up something called a session, and this is what's going to make everything active. And since we're on day 23, we're going to call it Bankroll Building Day 23. And I'm going to give myself the bankroll I need for this. So we're using a 10-cent starting unit on each individual number. So that's works out to $230 with 7 attempts in this progression. And then next I'm going to go ahead and load the progression. Actually, it's already loaded, so it's hottest 18. Now, one of the coolest things about this program is I can actually build custom progressions right inside of it. Pretty much anything I can think of, I can build and have this program automatically execute bets for me. So huge advantage to using this program. And I don't know about you, but this program solves, many problems. But the two that I'm going to point out right now are, have you ever been on, say, another YouTube channel when they were building a progression on an RNG, and there's just so many numbers? I've read in the comments on these types of videos where people say, it's a great progression, but I can't place that many bets at the casino website. There's just not enough time. Well, this program solves that problem. The other problem it solves is that, have you ever missed a bet before, or misplaced a bet, or run out of time on the clock and you couldn't get those last bets down and lost money because your number would have come up? Well, this program also solves that problem. So, super convenient. And just to point out another thing too is that, doing it this way, like building your progression and having it automatically execute the bets for you, the other problem it solves is that it removes emotion from the game. You go in with a plan, you know exactly what you're going to do, and you just let the program do its thing. Win or lose, you're done, right? And believe me, it saves you from adding that extra bet in that final level, that you shouldn't be betting on. When you go in with 7 levels, you should stick to 7 levels. Don't make it an 8th. Learn from our mistakes, right? So anyways, I just wanted to point out those conveniences. Now, I've got the progression loaded. I just have to click the activate button. But before I do, I have to do one more thing. I'm going to set up what's called custom clicks. And what custom clicks does is it's going to keep my page automatically alive, because, as I'm going to explain in a minute, I like to use triggers. And while we're waiting for a trigger event to happen, that can take some time. And if we're inactive on these websites, they give us an inactivity pause. So I'm going to open up my custom clicks right now, and I'm going to just activate it. That way it'll refresh my page on a specific spin interval. I've got this one set up to every 20 spins. And every 20 spins, basically, it's going to refresh my page. Okay, so now that that's all set, I'm going to go ahead and click this activate button, and then I'm going to explain what we're going to be doing. So now it's active, and as soon as the next spin result is detected, my cursor is going to move on to the undo button. We're not going to be placing bets right away because I am waiting for a trigger. In fact, I'm going to be waiting for one of 2 trigger events to occur, and we'll enter whichever happens first. So we'll just watch the cursor drop down right now. That'll mean, yep, everything's ready to go. So right now what my program is doing is waiting for an event. And the event we're waiting for is a trigger I call system failure. And what that means is, so my progression has 7 levels, and we're betting on the hottest 18. So basically, 7 cold numbers can make the system fail, right? Well, it'll wipe out the bankroll essentially. So the program is monitoring every spin and calculating whether it was a win or a loss. And after 7 cold numbers in a row have come, then that's the system failure. That's when we're going to jump in and start placing bets. And like I showed you on that line graph earlier, I use that information to help me understand what's going to happen after a system fails and roughly how long I have before it's going to fail again. Now, this system has a mathematical failure rate of 1 every 216 spins. And of course, it can fail sooner than that. And of course, it can fail much, longer than that. I've seen the system fail twice in, 50 spins. I've also seen it go 400 or 500 spins without failing. But what I'm talking about is on average, right? And what we can't do is predict what's going to happen next in terms of the next number, nor can we predict the distribution of when it's going to fail. But I've just found on average, when it does fail, it rarely fails again within 50 spins, which is why I only give myself a 40 spin limit to stay at the wheel. I can explain that later. For the new viewers, I know if you've been watching the channel, you guys all understand how I like to play and the limits that I put on myself to try to mitigate some risk. So that said, guys, I've explained the first trigger, the system failure trigger, but the other trigger I'm going to be waiting for is on that heat map. I'm going to be watching it. So while I wait for the system failure to happen, I'm going to be monitoring the heat map. And what I've found is, well, as I said earlier, on average, that heat map will always have 12 red numbers on it. But when that heat map gets overactive, like if it hits 13 red numbers and sustains that for a while or goes up to 14 and 15 red numbers, that's usually, I find when that happens, the system just doesn't want to seem to fail while the heat map is overactive. So I found that to be a really good time to enter the game. So if I do see an overactive heat map, then I will just go in, I'm going to turn off the trigger and allow the program to start placing bets. Otherwise, we're just going to wait for the system to fail. And I do want to point out on the flip side of that, when that heat map drops below a specific threshold, I've also found that the system tends to fail more often when that happens. When I see those red numbers drop below 10, right? So like 9, 8, 7 red numbers, that's typically when the system fails. So keep an eye out for that, because when the system does fail, if that's the trigger that ends up getting us into the game, pay attention to the heat map and you'll see what happens. Now, all that said, guys, right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We got 14. We're coming in on a hot table already. So we'll see what happens. I just might jump in, but ultimately, I like to sit and wait for a bit when I'm just coming in, because we could be on the downside of the heat right now, and we just don't know. So we'll see. Anyways, in the meantime, guys, while we're waiting for this trigger to fire, it can take minutes or it can take hours. So what I'm going to do is speed up the video. I'm going to play a song from the Betmaster soundtrack while the video is sped up, and I will be right back here in a couple minutes as soon as we have one of our 2 trigger conditions. So I'll see you in a minute.
You only get one spin, one moment. When the tables reveal themselves, don't pray, don't hope.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to jump right in here, and I mean, that happened unbelievably fast. I couldn't, I'm sitting here talking and, doing the intro, and I didn't even notice that we were accumulating cold numbers. And as soon as I turned off the camera and got ready to sit back and relax and watch the heat map, I looked up and I noticed that there's freaking six numbers already. I'm like, what? So I'm waiting and I'm watching, and then the page, I forgot to do a manual page refresh, and there we go, our first win. Perfect. I forgot to do a manual page refresh, so of course then I get this inactivity pause. So I'm waiting to see if the next spin is going to be the one that triggers the or fires the trigger. So I manually refresh the page. I'm waiting for it to come back, and sure enough, well, the 8 comes in. It's a cold number. I'm like, oh no, here we go. So I'm going to get my camera all set up and turn it back on so I can start talking to you guys right away. Usually I'm watching and I'm kind of prepared and I'm ready to go, but this all happened so quick. But anyways, wow, I can't believe how fast that happened. It's pretty rare where I just turn on everything and the system fails and I get to play right away. Usually there's some kind of period of wait. But just to make a note, guys, so I recognize that the heat map was active. I think we were at about 13 or 14 red numbers when the trigger fired, and that happens. Right? It doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen all the time, but it certainly can happen, and that just goes to speak to the variance that occurs. Right? I make my decisions based on average, but or what happens on average. But sometimes things happen outside of average. Just like with roulette. I mean, that's just indicative of the game. Every number should come once in third. Well, not should, but has a probability of coming once every 37 spins, but sometimes you'll see a number come 3 times in 37 spins. So there's variance. Like I always say, we can't predict the distribution; just things happen on average. So anyways, on that note, that's fine. So we're in the game right now, and so far, well, we are on our 4th spin now, hoping to catch another win here, and let's see what happens. And where are we right now? We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we still have 13 red numbers on the board right now. So yeah, here we go. I normally get to sit back and relax for at least a few minutes before the trigger fires, but I don't mind. It gets the session over with, and here we go. Now, you guys are going to get to see this play out. Hopefully, we get another win today. And speaking of wins, there's one right now. But, hopefully this goes all the way. Like we're on day 23 right now. If we win today, it'll be 23 consecutive wins. I use this trigger because I've discovered that this trigger, well, having the system fail, the chances of it failing again are pretty rare. So that's why I use it. And, well, that's why I think we're sitting here at day 23 with 23 consecutive wins. If I would have just come in and started playing, I would have lost. I would have started playing and lost immediately, right? So just right there, you can see the advantage to the trigger, and there's another win. Now we're hitting just over 50%. We dipped down to that looks like it may have been level. Was that level 2 or no? That was level 3. We got to level 3. Okay. And it looks like the table is cooling down a bit with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, we're down to 12 now. You see what I mean? Like, you just, it can go on a down cycle. Right? I find that the table has ups and downs, and we were at the end of the hot cycle. Perhaps I don't know how long the table was, actively hot before we got here. There's no way to know, but that's typically what I see is these sort of ebbs and flows, ups and downs. Of course, the peaks and valleys, they vary and they're not identical, so you could never know when the table is going to cool down or heat up. All of that is random, right? But it's just interesting to see how it goes. And typically, when it heats up, it stays heated for a period of time. I mean, that period is again unpredictable. But if you can catch it on the upswing, and get your bets in and get out before it goes back down, then maybe you'll be fine. And still at 50%. Now, if you guys like what you see here with Betmaster, you can go to the website, www.betmaster-data.com, and get it for yourself. There's an FAQ there if you're curious about it, answer most of your questions or all of your questions. And if not, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I'm happy to answer any question you have about the program. I'll leave a link in the description for the program, and also you can join our Discord community. We're a very fast-growing community. We've got tons of Betmaster members now. We're all over the world. People are using it, having great success. They're really enjoying using the program, and check it out for yourself. Go to the Discord and see what other people are saying about the program, how they're using it. They're posting all kinds of stuff every day, so you can go in and see what people are saying about it. Uh-oh. That's Going to level 4 now. Okay. Well, we've seen level 4 before, so it's not a big deal. Or at least I hope it's not on our way to a big deal. Yeah, level 4 is not bad. Level 5, eh. Level 6, I'm sweating, and level 7, I'm praying. And 7. Oh, good. Okay, we got it. Nice. Nice level 4 win. Perfect. I just saw that it was a gray number there. I couldn't tell if it was. I didn't even look at the statistics, but yeah, good. A nice reset. Back to level 1. Yeah, and if you guys, like I know I take a different approach to the game. Like I was saying in the intro, um, I would talk about when I leave, like when I like to leave, right? That's such an important move to know because most roulette players, I think, we tend to lose the money if we stay too long, right? It's the most common thing, I think. You hear it all the time. You stayed too long, and knowing when to leave is probably some of the most important knowledge you can gain. And well, how do you know when to leave? Well, if you understand the average of something, right? It's going to happen on average. Now you can't predict exactly when anything is going to happen, especially in roulette, because but having said that, everything does happen on average, right? And so if you understand the average of something, you can sort of say, okay, well then I'll give myself a fraction of that amount and operate within that window. And so this progression fails on average once every 216 spins. So knowing that, I leave after, I won't stay for longer than 40 spins. That's my maximum. And if it's taken me 40 spins to get to my financial target, which hopefully I normally do, if it's taken me 40 spins to get there, then it's already taken a little bit longer than my average. I've probably gone deeper into my progression more than I would like to. I've seen level 4, level 5 a few times, most likely, if it's taken me 40 spins to get to my 10%. So I know I said this in the last video, but if you're new, this is your first video. I'll say it again. If you let's say you're down to your 30. Excuse me 1 second, because I'm noticing we're on level 4 again. Okay. Well, if you're on your 36th spin, let's say, and you've got 4 spins left to go to 40, and you still have even 1 win, but 2 wins to go to hit your financial target, that would be a good time to leave. Because you don't have enough spins left in your cycle to complete another cycle if you have to go deeper than, say, level 4. That would take you beyond your 40th spin. And you still have 2 wins to go. It's already a bad session. If it takes, level 5. And the yellow chips are out. All right, well, I guess we're moving into the zone of discomfort. If you're at spin 35 and you're still 2 wins away from your target, you've already had a bad session, right? There's no point in continuing because bad sessions typically turn into worse sessions. So that's your first clue to walk away. And but let's flip it around. If you have 33 spins, man, I hope this isn't going to be it. Level 6. Give me a sec, guys, while I sit here and sweat for a minute. I don't mind sweating. I hate praying, because that's what we got to do on the next level. Not that I have anything against praying. I just don't like praying for my money at roulette. That's all. Oh, and 22. Yes, we got it. Okay. Back in the game. Jeez. All right. The sweats can go away now. So what I was saying is, if you're at spin 33 and you still have seven, so you've got 7 spins left before you hit your spin budget. 40 is what I like to use for this progression. So, and you have 1 win left to go. Well, then sure, you've still got 7 spins left in your budget. You've only got 1 win left to go. The session is taking you a little bit longer than average, but, I guess at your discretion. But definitely never go for it if you can't win within your budget. Once you've recovered from your last cycle, assess yourself. If you're at spin 35 with 1 win to go, walk away. Don't bother. It's always that last win that's the hardest one to get. And like I said, if it's taking you that long to get there already, you're already having a bad session. I can usually win this strategy within 25 to 30 spins. Right? That's average. So I already understand my averages with this system. So if it's taken me 35 spins to get to, close to my financial target, if I'm not there yet, it's like I said, it's already taken me longer than it should. So I should just leave. Better than losing the bankroll, right? Tomorrow's another day. Most times I have pretty good sessions. Like the last one that we had, I didn't even go past level 3, right? I wish every session was like that. If only we could predict. And there we go. That'll help build us back up. We've got an awful win-to-loss ratio. We're at like 5 wins. Well, now 6 wins, 11 losses. That's almost like half. 35% hit rate. Like we're not doing that good. When we consider hit to win-to-loss ratio. But we'll see what happens. I hope today's not going to be the day that I walk away. Although, if I have to, that's what I do. But assuming we don't lose before that point. And beautiful. See, and look at this to the point, guys. The way that I like to bet, right? So that 8 was the number that triggered the 7th cold number. We lost on the 8 and then we joined the game. But because that 8 had got hit, it had been hit at that point frequently enough within the last 74 spins to make it to the hot list. It was probably somewhere close to the bottom. It was a gray number just now, but it was on the hot list. And so it just landed and we hit it, right? I think that's another reason why this system does so well is because the bets are dynamic and we're following the patterns. Whatever's hitting more frequently now is what we're betting on, and seemingly it seems to hit where the patterns are. Not always. I've lost with this system, playing like this, but that's variance, right? Things happen. But yeah, I think the fact that the bets are dynamic is one of the advantages to this system, and that they're following the trends. Now, if you want to, so I know I take a different approach to roulette than a lot of people, and I think I get different results than a lot of people. And if you want to learn about my philosophy and how I play, I wrote some articles, and you can find them also on the website. I'll leave the links in the description below. In the Roulette Lab on my website, there's 3 articles there, and the first one basically explains how I look at roulette as a game of probabilities, and more so than just like we all know that. For example, every number has a 2.7% chance of being hit. That's like a micro probability. We have to look at it from a macro sort of perspective, right? Zoom out a lot and think of this progression has a probability of failing 1 in 216 spins. Well, it's going to fail on average 1 in 216 spins. I actually should have showed you on the calculator. If you watched a few videos back, I demonstrated that with the same data sample and with the hottest 18 progression. on that 5160 spin data sample, if I were, and it failed 23 times, as you guys saw, so divide 23 by 5160, you're going to end up with 224. That was the average failure rate of the system. It failed on average once every 224 spins, which is extraordinarily close to its mathematical predicted model. And it's like that right across all of my data. Whether I'm doing 1,000 spins or 2,000 spins or 5,000 spins. When I divide the amount of times the progression lost against the amount of spins I'm going through, it always fails within some small range of its expected failure rate of 1 in 216 spins. Might be 1 in 214, might be 1 in 220. In that case, it was 1 in 224, which is very close. So everything does happen within its expected probability. So when you zoom out and look at roulette like that, you can get a feel for kind of how things are going to happen. And what I've found is, like, when something happens on a larger probabilistic scale, then the chances of it happening in close succession are less likely. And when it does happen in close succession, there's still a good enough gap between the time that it failed and the time that it fails again, let's say. Like, a good example would be like a run of 10 red or a run of 10 black. So I'm sure that you guys have seen a run of 10 red. And so, if you sit there long enough, you're going to see a run of 10 red at least once a day on average. In fact, it's expected to come mathematically 1 every 1,300 spins. So that's its mathematical probability. And it does come on average 1 every 1,300 spins. Now, the question is, when have you ever seen that happen back to back? Like a run of 13 red and then a black number and then a run of 13 red, right? That's an extremely rare event. It doesn't happen every day. And so if you did happen to see, like, say, a run of red and then a few black and a run of red, or vice versa, then there is probably a good enough gap of opposite colored numbers between your two runs, right? So what I'm trying to get at here is, like, with this progression, it fails on average once every 216 spins. And so when it fails whenever it fails, when it's expected to fail, and I hate using that word expected, but for a lack of a better term, I mean, I know nothing is really due. It happens on average. That's its expected probability. And it basically happens like that. Now, it can fail sooner, and it does, or it can take longer, and it does. But right after it just failed, when it fails again, typically, on average, if you look at that backtester, on average, there's usually at least 40 to 50 spins before it fails again. Okay, on average. Sometimes it fails a little bit closer, but for the most part, it fails after the 50th spin. Now, if this progression had a failure rate of, say, 1 in 500, I bet you that when it failed in close succession, rather than it failing, 40 or 50 spins right after it just failed, it might be closer to 75, 80, maybe even, dare I say, 100. Right? I find that the bigger the probability is of something happening, or the less likely it is of happening, when it does fail in close succession, that closeness seems to be stretched out a little farther because it had less of a probability of happening. Does that make sense? So that's what I see right across the data. So it's what happens on average. So that's where I got the 20% from. Like, I stay here at the table for 40 spins. That's 20%. Well, 43 spins is 20% of 216. I round it down to 40 spins. And that's where I got the 40 spins from. By looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of spins back tested with this progression and seeing that, hey, I can easily get in here within 40 spins before it's going to fail again. Sure, it fails sometimes a little bit sooner, but not that often. So that's why I ended up coming to the conclusions that I did by seeing it over and over again in the backtester. So, and wow, I just noticed, guys, we've got 1 win left to go, and we are at a 48.1% hit rate. So we caught up. We are batting average right now. It's we're expected 48.6. So if we get this win, then we'll be there. And wow, 1 more win to go. That level 6 was scary, I have to say. I don't want this this streak. Oh, of course, the last win is always the hardest one to get. I don't want this winning streak to end. We're doing so well. 23 is extraordinary. And what are we like for heat? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13 red numbers. So slightly above average. We're doing okay. Yeah, I still can't believe how fast that trigger fired. And sorry you guys didn't get a song this video. For those of you who like that music that I put on in between while I speed up the video. I mean, I'm not going to bother putting on any music. Well, I'm talking after the fact now. There's not going to be any music. There wasn't any music. And there we go, guys. We got the win. So that was 23 wins in a row. Wow. What a great run so far. Hopefully we can keep up this momentum. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And again, I'm going to leave all of the links in the description so you can go check out Betmaster, go to the Roulette Lab, read those articles, and join the Discord. Come see what everybody's saying about the program. And that said, guys, I do hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
It's not luck, it's math. The count, watch the pressure build, then pounds. Same wheel spin, same house game, but knowledge shifts. Who feels the pain? Bedmaster on, I don't guess tonight. I wait for the edge, then strike it right. They call it chance, I call it proof. Numbers don't lie. The math goes through.